The Strike Zone Teaching Tee is a new concept to teach the fundamentals of a good swing. It's unique because it does not require the use of a baseball to teach these fundamentals. As a youth baseball coach, I developed a tee that would show what the strike zone looked like, and in that strike zone I incorporated a swing area where the ball would be in that strike zone, and it actually speeds up the drills. The Strike Zone Teaching Tee works extremely well with the T-ball age group and can be used on into high school. Most T-ball players and players that have never played before have little or no bat control, and that is what the tee work is used for. With a common ball and tee, the coach places a ball on the tee, and then the player that's unskilled usually will dislodge the ball, and then it's just a repeat of that process. The coach picks up the ball and replaces it on the tee, and it's just a cycle that discourages the player and actually the coach from the teaching process. The Strike Zone Teaching Tee eliminates the ball from the process and replaces it with a framed-in strike zone and an area to swing the bat at or into. With this method, the instructor can stand at a better position to determine what corrections need to be made. The player swings into that strike area, and as the instructor watches, he can physically see the things that need to be addressed at different practices. Another thing that's very useful is to video the actual swing of the bat, and it gives a visual effect of exactly where the hands start and where they finish in the swing. As you were looking at the photos that comes with this presentation, you'll see the device hanging on a fence, and it actually transforms in seconds to a freestanding device that it has a remote base that assembles to the teaching part of the training device, and it also, when the actual training with the teaching part of the tee is done, it has a ball holding adapter that'll hold baseball, softball, or any training type ball used in practices to teach the part of the hitting that the player needs to learn. The most effective way to use the tee for training purposes is to have the player swing at the swing area and then quickly reset into the batting stance and swing again over and over and over. This entrains into them to swing in its most effective way. The best drill to use with the teaching tee is to have the player swing at the swing area and then quickly reset and swing again, and repeat that process over and over. After I use this drill with my players, I would actually use the soft toss drill and throw the practice balls one right behind the other instead of the old way of just pitching one at a time. And by doing this drill over and over, it strips all the faults of wiggling the bat or holding the hands too high or various things that affect an effective swing. So the best way is to just have the player swing over and over, and again, all the unnecessary movements that some players do just out of their subconscious is normally stripped away, and just the end result is just a perfect swing. One of the main advantages of the Strike Zone Teaching Tee over the regular ball and tee is the compactness of the training device. Normal tee that everyone has is too cumbersome to haul around, and naturally it won't fit in a bat bag. But the teaching tee I developed, I purposely designed it that it could be disassembled and put in a bat bag, so no matter where you go, to a away game or practice or wherever, whatever practice that's needed with the bat, the device to use for the training is always with you. When I developed this teaching tee, it was for the teams that I actually coached, and I used the process or the theory in hitting over the years, and our teams were very successful because of the ability to hit the baseball compared to some of the other teams. The decision to try and promote this idea for others to use is that I love the sport, and I know a lot of fathers and coaches and instructors need a physical device that can actually show what strike zone looks like physically, and also where the ball in a perfect strike would be related to that strike zone. With this device, it's physically shown, and without telling, you can actually show. And again, with the age groups that are usually worked in the sports of baseball and softball, sometimes it's better to show than it is to tell. You normally get better results. I developed the strike zone teaching to actually use the teams that I and others worked with, but since I've retired, I felt it might be a good idea to try to pass this device along to others, and so I'm going to try to promote it. It's very useful for fathers that usually have little knowledge of how to teach. Coaches, sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a different idea. Instructors sometimes need something that can physically show what a strike zone looks like and where the ball will be in that strike zone that a player should actually be trying to hit, opposed to maybe a bad location. In the years that I coached, I noticed that parents would tend to buy almost anything that they thought would help their child perform better in ball games, and especially in the hitting part. The bad thing is that most of the training devices they buy turn out to be just useless toys. They would take way too much time to do any good, because most are on strings or springs or tethers or something like that. The end result is that it wastes so much time of what would normally be a useful practice. The strike zone teaching tee is unlike all of these, but it does work best with an instructor on hand to visually watch the player use it in action. Again, it's the repetition is what you're after, to entrain the swing into the player so that they don't have to think when they're doing it. It just comes natural. The difficulty with the other training devices, they become toys, and they'll never swing at the device 2 times in the same way, and that again causes faults in the swing, because one time they'll swing with their hands high, the next maybe low. So therefore you don't actually teach the player to stay in the strike zone, which is in a condensed form. But with the variations with the different training devices, a player will develop bad habits because they have the luxury of not being restricted to a swing area. I hope this presentation has been useful, and that you'll give our strike zone teaching tee a try. I think you'll be impressed with the end results. You can visit the website at www.baseballteachingtee.com and place your order and give it a try. I think you'll be glad that you did.